Hey, afternoon, everybody. Pastor Rob here, and welcome to another day of Immerse. I'm actually at the office today using a different laptop, and here we are together. And thank you for joining us as we continue to go through Immerse. Now, what is Immerse? Immerse is this gathering we have together where we read through Scripture and a chance to get to know Jesus in a way that helps not just ourselves but one another journey together. Now, if you're interested in being a part of Immerse, you can send an email to rbailey@southlakelc.org. You can also just follow along here together, us on Facebook, and join us Saturday mornings at Noah's Art Cafe in Bay Cliff. Just take 646 all the way until you hit water at the bay, and you're right there. And there we meet 8 a.m., where Jessica Leach leads us in a discussion asking 4 questions. Anything new pop up this past week? Any questions do you have? Has your relationship with God changed at all? And what kind of impact this is going to make in your life this week? Well, I can tell you right now, today's reading is a difficult reading. See, we are in Holy Week right now, which means is we're getting to the point where Jesus is going to be crucified. So, spoiler alerts, and we're in the Gospel of Matthew. And in today's readings specifically, Jesus is being questioned by a whole bunch of people about his teachings, his understanding of who God is, his relationship to all this, and what kind of eternal impact it has for people. In our reading today, we see a group of people called Sadducees start off asking Jesus questions. You might be, what's a Sadducee? And there's a joke because there's a lyric in a song for kids that I will no longer be able to take things seriously makes a joke that Sadducees are sad, you see. But these are individuals, these are Jewish leaders that are friends of the Romans, that help manage and take care of the temple, and they follow the first 5 books of the Old Testament, known as the Torah, the law, the will of God. And they're questioning Jesus because they don't believe that there will be a resurrection. They believe that once you die, that's pretty much end of story. You go to a place called Sheol, and it's have a nice life. There's no next steps or what's going to happen. And so they question Jesus about this thing called a resurrection. In order to challenge Jesus, they use a really weird situation. Because in Jewish law, there's a thing called a levirate marriage. What that means is to help protect the name and the legacy of the tribes of Judah, tribes of Abraham and Jacob and Isaac, that if a male dies without having an heir, that his spouse, in a sense, would marry the next kin in line, so the next brother, cousin, nephew, and would have a child, not in the name of that individual, but of her previous husband, to help keep the name going on. So the Sadducees use this really weird example of 7 brothers, all marrying this one woman, each dying one by one, which is interesting because there's actually a scenario like this in what's known as the Apocrypha, so other books that are outside the Bible. And they asked Jesus at the end of the resurrection, since each of these brothers technically married the wife, whose wife is she in the resurrection? And again, they're not really trying to answer the question. They're not really trying to figure out. They're really making fun of Jesus, the idea that there would be one. And Jesus calls them out and says, you guys are a bunch of morons. That's my way of reading it. That's not the point. Well, that's not just the one heart teaching. Jesus will go on and make a point that the time is coming soon where those have a relationship with God, that there will be a point where there's no longer another opportunity, that the end is coming. And Jesus uses a whole bunch of different ways of what are known as parable stories to express that truth, that the end is coming. And there will be a point where we will no longer have an opportunity to begin a relationship with Jesus. It will be those who have one and don't. Now that's tough to hear that, because it makes a point that, hey, we have a God who says that if you believe in me, you are saved, and there's joy in their celebration. But those who choose to look away, those who choose not to have a relationship with me, there'll be a point where you will be cast out. And why it's difficult, because when we say we have a loving God, we expect him to always be forgiving, but a point he makes is there's going to be a point in time when he comes back that those who are part of him, who have a relationship with him, will go on and be in a huge celebration, and those who don't will be cast aside. And that's hard in America to hear that, because we have a lot of Christians that believe that when Jesus comes back, there'll be another opportunity, one last chance. Yet the parables that Jesus uses today point to one truth. When he comes back, that's it. So what does that mean for us today? Does that mean we should fear and be scared and hope to God we got our relationship all taken care of? I don't think so. I think the message today is making a point that we have a job to do now. Share our relationship with Jesus with those in our lives. Talk about our faith. Share with others who are struggling. And help them get to know who Jesus is. Because you know what? The end's coming. And when it does, there won't be a second chance. In those parables, it talks about the condemnation for those who are separate, but also shares that those who do share, those who talk about it, there's celebration. And that's my encouragement for you today, is the need to share our faith with one another. To tell people when they're struggling, having things going on in their life, to share about the good news of who Jesus is. Well, did you learn something new today? Maybe you heard about Sadducees for the first time, or the fact there's actually a story about 7 brothers dying and what would happen if all of them married the same wife. Or maybe the fact that we have a God who loves us and cares for us, who wants a relationship with us. There comes to a point in time when if you don't want to have a relationship with him, you're not going to have a second chance. Maybe you have questions because of that. Again, today's a hard reading, but it's a reminder of the importance of sharing a relationship, why we do things like this at South Lake Church. So people can engage, grow, and share in a relationship with Jesus. How has your relationship with God either grown today? Maybe you got questions today because the need to share our faith. Lastly, what kind of impact is this going to have on your life today? And my hope, my prayer is that this is going to make an impact, the need to share our faith with those in our lives. To have conversations. That we're here where people are at, but then share why we have a God who loves them and cares for them. At South Lake Church, we engage, grow, and share Jesus in our community relationships. We do this together, not alone. And our reading today reminds us why, because at the end of the day, this is about relationships with Jesus. God bless you guys. Again, I'd love for you guys to join us Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. at Noah's Ark. We're also online, so you can join us online for those watching. And just a way to gather together. Hope you guys have a great day. God bless as we continue to share relationships with those in our lives.